Nigeria, blessed with the arable land that few countries can boast of, has the potential not only to feed Africa but to feed the world. Over the years, over-reliance on the now dwindling oil sector for economic growth has shriveled the once boisterous Nigerian agricultural sector, making it become a shadow of what it was and what it could become with the right technology.
Agriculture, as you know, comprises 40 to 50% of the GDP of Nigeria. It's the major employer in Nigeria. Nigeria has been importing too much food that could have been grown in Nigeria, such as rice, as maize, etc. However, to be able to produce, to cultivate sufficient quantities cost effectively, you need to mechanize. You need to be using tractors and the implements, plows, etc. that tractors carry.
Dizengoff Nigeria is a member of the Balton CP Group, a British multinational with 7 subsidiaries across sub-Saharan Africa. With over 1,000 employees, Dizengoff is one of the leading agriculture and communication companies in Nigeria, providing customers with the best innovation solution in irrigation, greenhouse technology, tractor and implements, agro-consumable and turnkey projects.
Yeah, Dizengoff as a company, first of all, we've been here since longer than Nigeria became independent. We first came to Nigeria in 1958 and we've been here ever since. We're clearly committed to Nigeria. Our heritage in greenhouses goes back to Kenya. 30 years ago in Kenya, there was a very small floriculture industry. Kenya today is the world's #1 supplier of cut flowers and roses. #1 in the world. It earns $1 billion a year for Kenya. All of these are grown in what are called integrated managed greenhouses, and you see kilometre after kilometre of these across the Kenya landscape. 80% of those were supplied by our sister company, Amran Kenya. We looked at that technology for Nigeria with respect to the production of vegetables, and in particular, vegetables like tomato, pepper, cucumber, most of which worldwide are grown within greenhouses in sub-Saharan Africa. In Nigeria, tomatoes used to be grown in what are called traditional open field crops. There's a problem there. It only produces between 5 and 7 tons per hectare, and because of the climatic conditions, only produces for 4 months of the year. In greenhouses, you can produce 12 months of the year. We have about 400 of our managed greenhouses now all over Nigeria. And in those managed greenhouse locations, we're producing, I can tell you the exact figures, in 2014, 264 tons. So there's a dramatic difference in yield and production. This is of tomato.
Why we call it a greenhouse is the house is covered. We have these nets by the side and we grow vegetables in the house. And what we need basically, like in every other agricultural venture, to be successful is quality inputs. When we talk about quality inputs, we talk about the quality of fertilizers, quality of seeds, quality of pesticides that we use to make sure that we maximize our yield from our greenhouses. And talking about the technical support, that is what basically we do in Dizengoff, giving support to farmers who are cropping in greenhouses. We give our support right from the set out in installing the greenhouses and also in crop management. Crop management, because most of these vegetables we have are propagated from the seeds in the nursery, transplanted to the field before growing to the stage where we are. And in our effort to make sure that we are self-reliant in vegetable production, in tomato production, to be able to feed ourselves as a nation, we have seen that greenhouse technology basically is the answer to the issue that we have at hand.
Predominantly, we've done tomatoes and then we've done bell peppers. And then we're branching into cherry tomatoes. We've also experimented with iceberg lettuce. We've done some mint. We've experimented with open field cultivation of some of the vegetables that we deal in. And I can assure you that versus greenhouse technology, the yield is massive. The possibility of success for a farmer who decides to go the route of a greenhouse is obviously far higher. You're sure that you're not going to have to deal with stuff like pests, insects, diseases, and more importantly, with higher yield, you obviously make more money.
The Dizengoff Farmer's Kit is essentially a collection of technologies built around a greenhouse, a net house. You need the net house, in other words, to be able to grow in a controlled environment. One of the things that we talk a lot about is Nigeria is blessed with really good conditions for growing, but too much rain. Greenhouse farming is brain-fed, not rain-fed.
And why the greenhouse? Because with very small area of land that we have, we are able to maximize our output. We have increased yield with little effort and little challenge with pest and disease challenge. Why? Because with the nets we even have around the greenhouse, we're able to screen out insects which are doing a lot of devastating damage in the open field crop production.
I chose greenhouse farming because within a small space you can get a higher amount of yield and the quality of fruits are much better. And I think when people see the fruits, it excites them. They actually think the fruits are imported. And we can actually start looking at import substitution. So instead of all the supermarkets importing tomatoes, we actually start producing it locally. We have now expanded because we know for sure that there is a market and people want this product. So now we're trying to partner more with the agronomists at Dizengoff to ensure that tonnage actually reaches 500 per kit per month at least, but we're seeing that it is very possible. So one of the key advantages of using the greenhouse technology is that it protects your crops from pests and diseases, and it's a controlled environment, so you don't have to use as much chemicals as opposed to when you're using the open field.
My takeaway from the partnership with Dizengoff is you don't need to reinvent the wheel. There's a company that has the expertise, that has the know-how, that has invested in the technology, that has invested in input and in raw materials, that has invested in the people. So what we just do is latch on onto that partnership, and what it has done for us is that it has made us cover a lot of ground in very little time. So I would always recommend, if you're going to do greenhouse farming, if you're going to do vegetable farming, you're better off with somebody who already knows what to do, who knows how to go about it, as opposed to you having to start from the scratch.
We train at two levels. First of all, we train the grower. Okay, it's very important that the grower, the owner of the land, the farmer himself, understands all the aspects of greenhouse farming. Secondly, we train the operators. We then train all the people that are working within the greenhouse. Okay, and we do that on a consistent basis, both in classroom, here, and obviously there within the greenhouse, hands-on.
And on our part, what gives us the edge is the quality of the seeds that are provided, the quality of the agrochemicals, the quality of the fertilizers. The combination of all these factors and the technical support that we give as agronomists have given us the success story that we are telling today.
What is key for us is to ensure that our growers achieve the sustainable agriculture that rests on the three pillars, which are knowledge, know-how, and quality inputs.
One of the exciting things of using the greenhouse is that it provides you with the advantage of using the drip irrigation system. So basically, we know that we don't want to wet our leaves because it exposes us to a lot of fungus diseases. But with the drip irrigation in the greenhouse, it reduces that significantly. But in the open field, even when you do use the drip irrigation, rain still affects it, and it affects the quality of your fruits. And we're actually seeing that with some of our crops.
Our core values include quality, reliability, responsibility, commitment, integrity, and proficiency, which we strictly abide with across our business.
And the reason I'm so interested in tomato is Nigeria, every Nigerian that I know, in one way or another, is eating tomato within their diet 2-3 times a day. You include in your soups, in your stews, and you eat a lot of fresh tomato. But the challenge has been, whilst Nigeria consumes about 2.5 to 3 million tons of tomato every year. It's one of the highest in the world per capita. You can only grow 1.5 million tons, and depends whose statistics you look at, 40 to 60% of what you grow doesn't even get to market. It rots. Why is that? Because of the packaging is inadequate for the distances that it needs to travel from the site of growing to the market. And your infrastructure, the roads, it's so poor that so much is lost in transit, in distribution. These are not challenges that you're going to solve overnight. Fortunately, with greenhouse farming, you can grow your crop much, much closer to the market. And you can grow it year-round.
We've gained a lot of traction, a lot of mileage. First of all, because of the quality of our produce. Second, because of our packaging. And the reason why we could get this quality was partnering with Dizengoff, who supplied us with the greenhouse kits and with their technical know-how. In addition to this, I've gotten a lot of people being interested in the greenhouse technology. For example, I was invited to the International Youth Day in the Presidential Villa to showcase my products, which I got from the greenhouse. And there was a lot of excitement.
What we're trying to do is to achieve for Nigeria the same that happened with flowers in Kenya. We want Nigeria, and we want to help Nigeria to become a major producer of tomatoes within the world. And for those growers and producers, to do so at relatively high incomes for them.
Our vision is to become the one-stop shop solution provider for all agricultural solutions in Nigeria. Dizengoff Nigeria adheres strictly to international best practices on health and safety matters.
To be honest, there has been a deliberate effort by Dizengoff to ensure that they provide us with technical support. So I'm happy in general.
With our managed greenhouse technology concept, every Nigerian can confidently say the future is brighter now than ever before, and that the future is now.